Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing all right. I'm okay. Last night we ran out of LP for the house that heats up our floors. We do have a wood stove and it keeps the air, warm, but I was freezing. I didn't feel like making a video, so he has one he can hook up another tank today. He's going to do that soon for like hot water in my oven and all that stuff, but I can still cook on the wood stove too, and then we've got a cook wood stove and another couple ones laying around, one out in the shop and different, so we'd never have to worry about cooking anything, that type of thing. So, but yeah, the floors get cold, so if we don't have the heat coming up through the heat vents like that and blowing it around, then it gets a little chilly, and it was so. But today's beautiful. The sun just started shining. It's about 40 degrees out there, so it should be even nicer. Well, it's going to be nicer tonight because we'll have more heat. But yeah, it was chilly. Doug shut his bedroom door and slept in the living room in his recliner. So it was, I got up and I was like, did you sleep sitting up all night? And he's like, well, it reclines. So I was like, okay. He was on a post that was talking about the coronavirus, telling people that if they have like welding tanks and the oxygen next to it and whatever, that you can puff oxygen, get rid of the coronavirus. And I wrote, a hit of weed would work better. Um, and you have to be careful with oxygen because our air is not pure oxygen. If you take a puff of oxygen and it's more than 10 seconds of pure oxygen, your brain or heart will collapse right there. So that's not a good idea. And people need to know that. And he come back and wrote that he forgot that people don't genuinely know that, because there's a lot of components that make up air. It's not just oxygen. And that then I told Doug, I said, so love isn't like oxygen because oxygen can kill you if you have too much of it. Or is love like oxygen? It's more like water. Water only has hydrogen and the component water. So it's only two things. So I said, does that mean that water trumps air? Like it's more important? So he said they're both elements. And I said, yeah, but one element contains a whole bunch of things. Maybe that's more important. So just funny. So, well, anyway, Um, I don't have a whole lot to talk about today, I guess. I really didn't plan it. I mean, I was going to, but I didn't plan anything in particular. I just thought I'd get on and say hello and ask how everybody's doing, and don't worry about this. Maybe okay, the main thing I'm seeing with the market crashing like it has before um, is different times. Like, okay, there was, I can't remember the name of the flu in 1911, I do believe it was. Or no, maybe I'm mistaken. It might be in 1917. There was like a plague, flu like thing in the United States, and a lot of people died and stuff. But I didn't look to see if the economy had crashed at that time. I do know, like 20 years after that, or a little bit even less, maybe 10, they went into the dust bowl days because of all the dirt being tore up and trees being tore down, and the farmers suffered because they literally ruined the land, and people starved because of that, starved to death. Um, but this economy falling like that is all in the stock markets. These people do what they want. They buy and sell and trade continuously. The stocks will fall. Somebody will buy it up, and that might be because they're putting their money in different areas anyway. or we're running at a loss. It's just like these buildings that they blow up, different things. Uh, it's easier to blow up a building in demolition style, like the towers of 911, than it is to go in there and say, take like a 20-year-old building where the electric or uh, plumbing or whatever start, or roofs or whatever starts getting old, or the windows, whatever, or all of it. It's cheaper to demolish the whole thing and either sell the commercial property to rebuild or reconstruct, refurbish something that's old, because I used to do that a lot. I'd get a house and remodel it while I was living there quite often, just to raise my sons. And I do it like on weekends or whatever, or after work, or whatever I was doing in my life. A lot of times just for a place to live. That's I was doing that when I met Doug, as a matter of fact, because he came to visit. My friend owned the house, came to visit him because he saw vehicles there, but it was me. So first time I seen him, he pulled up on a big white Harley, and I just looked at him like, you could just drop dead right now. I don't need anybody's baloney in my life. So, but he kind of wormed his way in as a friend. So, but yeah, he had just had his wife of the time cheat on him and come back into his life. And then, well, she had sold her wedding rings to get a tattoo, and it was a bad story. He went through some pretty rotten times, so we had something in common. So, um, but anyway, that's 30 years ago. So 31, I think. But yeah, quite some time ago. Oh, that's what I told one of my daughter-in-law was talking about another mother of another granddaughter, and that well, I told her I don't really talk to the girl no more. Well, she's getting more like a older lady now than she is a young girl, but I don't talk to her much because she's continuously talking about my son, whether they love each other or not, and blah, blah, blah. And like I told my daughter in law, it's been 30 years I've been with Doug, and nobody prays for me or worries about my relationship. Everybody else is all worried about their own. Not one of our family members have ever said a prayer for us to have good, clean, healthy life together as a married couple. Not one time. I know it. I don't know that anybody has. Maybe, but you know, yeah. So, I don't know. What I was trying to tell her is, everybody's worried about how mom's gonna pray for them or whatever, but who prays for mom. Like I don't want to have to get up and leave my home, but I may have to. But who would want to do that after 30 years in the same place? I mean, I want to move, but I don't necessarily want it to be without Doug. Like I told him, I'd still be friends with him and let him visit, but like the dog and whatever. But he hasn't drank now. I think it's been a couple months, so we'll just see how life goes from there. But I don't like giving up on people, but I had another long term relationship, met the guy when I was 17 and didn't leave till I was 34. So, um, you know, that's in a little over a year with another one that I had annulled right before that. So it's like, no, no more. I've had enough, you know. So. But yeah, everybody shows their good sides when they're dating and whatnot. Well, I didn't. I'm not like that. If I'm having a rotten day or somebody peeves me, I'm gonna say something right then and there. I didn't used to, but I found that it was harder to hold stuff in, and then it'd all get built up in there. And even if you don't explode or take it out on somebody else, your body suffers. So if you can find a way to most politely tell people what hurt you or angered you or whatever, that's probably the best thing. So, but to go back about the economy, I've seen it fall and rise many times, and it's just a part of their game. They play. They sit down at their tables and they discuss, what stocks do and who's going to do what with what they should buy, what they shouldn't buy. Even the president, although he's not dealing in uh, making money in other areas and giving his income that he does make back to the people, um, he's still not running at a loss in any of his businesses. So and that's why I tell people too, he's not a self-made person. None of these people are. It's not that they've never worked or never been in the military or anything. Some of them have, but most of them haven't. Most of them have parents that put them in college and pay for their tuition, unlike a self-made person either going to trade school or a little bit of college, whatever we can afford to make our worlds go around. These people don't have to worry about that type of thing, you know. So, just like me, I wouldn't have had to worry about things if I would have sucked up to lowering my integrity or getting rid of it entirely. I would have had financial help for. They were going to buy me an island. And also, when I got together with Doug, I was told if I decided to do this, then they weren't going to visit me anymore. And I'm like, well, adios then, because the word would be, you can't threaten me to vibe for my attention. It's like, that's just not going to work. Oh, talk about disrespect. So I have quite a few military people that follow me. I think that if they're in Afghanistan or whatever and they get lonely for talking for people that are back in the States, or if they're single looking for somebody to video chat with and whatever. So I had this one the other day that wanted to friend me, and I wrote to him. I said, okay, I had pondered it a couple days, went back and on his page, and I said, if you want to friend me, this is the way it is. I can talk in public on my posts, or you can see me in YouTube, but I don't private message. Some of you know, if you're a close friend of me or I consider you trustworthy, that's a different story. Um, but talk about disrespect for 2 days, then it's hello, how are you doing? And the last thing I want to hear, because of the way the Illuminati talks, is calling me dear, like a deer in the headlights, saying hello dear. That's the last flippin' thing somebody wants to say to me. So I took a moment and I wrote, talk about uh disrespect is unbecoming. I said, something like, if you can't talk in public or something like that. I just told him I'm too old for this baby shit. So whatever. I said, or just go away. Well, then I tried to show Doug who he was on my page. He was in here talking. I go, look at this. I said, and then right before that too, somebody else tried to do that to me. It happens a lot every day. And like I told you, I have people waiting, and I have to decipher who. Well, now the only thing, and why I'll friend people trying to get along with everybody in the world, and now I'm kind of down to where I wish it were just more women, but some of them can get go overboard with questions or whatever, or consuming my time when I have other things to do and other things on my mind. And I don't like private messenger or talking on the phone much. I like to look people in the eye and talk to them, and really not much at all any other way. Letters are okay. That's a little different. And then you can actually see their handwriting and where that goes if you can analyze, what that looks like. But and people do leave an electronic signature, but like I've told people before, the reason why I don't like the telephone that much, unless I know a person isn't going to monopolize my time and try and control me like that, um, because uh well, where was I going? Let me see. I'll get back. Excuse me. Cheers. Well, I don't like phones very much. And that's why, because, well, here's a for instance. I had somebody try and call me, and I was just letting my dog out. And I said, tell him that I'm busy. And he said, I think she's outside with her horse, which I was going to do in a little bit anyway. But I said, don't lie. I said, next time, or just don't answer it, whatever. I said, next time, just tell them I'm just not receiving phone calls at this time. I mean, my cat was just like one day away from dying. I have been spending every moment with her day and night, totally exhausted. I wasn't going to take any time to listen to somebody else's either ailments or whatever they had to say. I wasn't willing to take the time to listen at that moment. And of course, everybody has that right and whatever, but I don't know. That's just the way I am, and I feel the same way about most people trying to private message me. Not all, but most. So, yeah, I guess I don't know. Um, I got to know somebody and I cared about her quite a bit, but talking to her on the phone was more like listening. Well, okay, just say like if you have a broken back and then somebody with a broken back calls and talks about their broken back but doesn't acknowledge your broken back. You see what I mean? That type of thing. That's what the feeling I get a lot, you know. Or if they're going to call and complain about somebody, say if there's mutual friends and they're complaining about somebody and that friendship, that type of thing is what I was going through. And it's like, I'm not doing this, especially when it's a married couple. And although I love this person, this woman, um, I did. It's just something you don't do, you know. As friends, it's not family; it's friends. And so, just to have that happen to me is like, what next? You know, it's like no. So I told Doug, don't lie. Either he said, well, I just want to answer it, or he just said, or if you happen to pick up the phone until I say different, just say, I'm not available to take phone calls at this time. That's as simple as that, you know. And that's why, because I don't let other people control the flow of my life. And if they put something in my day that I'm not willing to accept, you know, I've had too much of that. So, yeah, it's like, yeah, no, 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 no. So, but there are some people that I'd like to take some time to talk to on the phone. Um, that's a different story too. So, you know, depends on what they've lived through in their life, what their views are in life, how selfish or not they are, and how they treat other people. Those things are their integrity, their moral values, you know. Even if they lack faith in God, I can deal with that one. I always have, but I can't deal with things. This is the way I judge things. If I wouldn't do it to a person, I won't accept it out of somebody. So if I feel standoffish or my words aren't as open as I'd like them to be, that's why. So, and it's obvious. Like, okay, if somebody writes a comment and the electronic feeling is there, everybody sees the feeling in that electricity because we're all not stupid. That's our insight like that. So, um, so it depends on who's playing the game and what they're playing. The only thing is, if they're playing a game, or if they're trying to get their own way out of somebody, or control them in different ways, or if you're praying for something wrong, like, okay, if you were praying for something that does not belong to you in the eyes of God, but you persist in acting like that towards everybody in the world or anybody at whenever you choose, if it isn't truly a friendship and a friendship out of love like that, but you have an ulterior motive, say, okay, if it's a woman and you're lusting for another man, a woman's man, husband or whatever, and you continue to think like that on those, the Bible says, and no man or person should put them under. You're putting them under, that type of thing. So, even though I gave Doug a letter of divorcement, it isn't finalized, and the people that respect that issue, I um I have respect for you right back like that. So, and then I can be a friend, you know. So, let's put it this way: if I care about somebody enough to talk about them and keep them in my life, then obviously I care enough to keep them in my life, you know. So, I think that's the way, a lot of people think that God's just going to kill Satan off and he's going to burn in the lake of fire and he hates them. That's his child. He does not hate them. He made them to torture everybody else. Satan got pissed because he felt like he was being used, and he is sort of a tool, but he's learning. Um, his selfishness got in the way of his learning, so he fell where he had a head start. When people have a head start and you know better and you set yourself back out of selfishness, that's a big no no. You will suffer, and that's hell. That's the lake of fire. You suffer within yourself, the separation you put between you and God, you know. So, anyway, it's true. Let's see what else is going on. I don't know. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you this. I won't name no names. I have a relative, a young male relative, about 22, that passed around these naked women on a beach with all their bums up in the air, whatever. And I said, that's going to make Doug sad. And um, I said, whatever you think. And he wrote back and he took it down and then wrote back. Before he took it down, he wrote, what? Question mark. I'm like, what a little shit. Talk about freaking phony. Why not just write me back whatever your viewpoint is, old lady, or whatever. Whatever if you're gonna, but why be a deceiving little shit, that type of thing. Irritating. So, and I was gonna say, oh yeah, you think you're marriage material, and then you're gonna have kids, and then someday your kids are gonna get on your Facebook and say, wow, look what daddy used to pass around for the whole world to see. Yeah. That's not my kid though. My kids have their own issues, but I'm just talking another relative, you know. But yeah, it was sad, and it would have made Doug sad to see it. He already had commented how his heart felt bad that he had to watch somebody that he cared about um, talking like a gangster and you know not really having any moral integrity and that type of thing. It hurts him really bad, and he won't even comment, which is sad. So, but yeah, just little things going on in our lives. So, I can't say I don't love Doug back on that note. If you're watching Doug, you know how I feel. It's just 30 years of having somebody torture me, whether it's because of the alcohol or the way they were raised or how they're feeling in their heart. I don't really care. But if it inflicts on me in a bad way or makes me sleep less or lose a job or the things or have to quit school or whatever, the hundreds of things, there's just too many things water under the bridge, doesn't mean I hold hatred, but it does wane on a love. It doesn't take it completely away, but it makes it lesser than what it should have been, if you see. So I am faithful, I'm honest, and I'm loyal up into a point, or always faithful, always honest. But as a friend, loyalty is what I am showing. And that's the same with people that try and call me or contact me. If I say, you can talk to me here or talk to me there, but then 2 days in a row and me not answering, you'd think they'd get the idea that, hey, this woman isn't going to answer me. And then when I told him just go away and he did, that's our military. Good job. Real good job. Low life, freaking integrity piece of crap. You know, not all of them, but I've seen a lot of it. You know, so I have a general friend that, yes, he's just a general friend. No, he's a friend of mine that's a general in Afghanistan, and he's not disrespectful like that, you know. So he asked if he could talk through email because on Facebook he was being watched, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. But um, he was polite about it, you know. I don't know if he'll be back on Facebook, but I just told him I wish, these people, I hope they find their other halves. I really do. I wish them the best. And I told him that too. It's like, it's, uh, if they truly were my friends, they would care more. And the ones that do, are truly my friends. And any relationship couldn't start out without friendship to begin with. So that otherwise it's just not real, you know. So even your kids, you can be friends with your kids, but if you're not a parent to your kid and you're not assertive in walking with God and what He expects out of you, let alone your kids, then you're remiss. You're not being a parent. You're being their friend. You're not guiding them in the right way. And even if you ignore the bad things they're doing and don't speak out about it, like I did with this young man that passed around something rude, it's like if somebody doesn't speak up, and I was seeing all this, his family members, nobody's saying nothing, and I've been friends with them on there for a very long time, um, even before the rest of his family. It's like then I felt like I had to say something because nobody else was saying anything, you know? So I thought, okay, well, he can be mad at me and he can lie about me, but deep in his heart, he knows I'm telling him the right way, you know? Because then right after that, and it was a miracle, a post that came through that said, a good man doesn't love a million women. He loves one woman in a million ways. And that's true. That's how people love people. It's like um oh, where was I going like that? Um mm, That's what it was. There's a really old man and old woman that's supposed to. You might have seen that. Um, Somebody asked him, "How did you stay together for like 70 years or whatever with one woman?" And the old man answered, "I didn't feel like I was with one woman with all the changes she went through. I felt like I was married to like 12 different women or whatever through the whole relationship." And that is how people change too. That is sort of what that is. So I don't know I'm going to name this video. Thoughts of the day, or saying hello, something like that. That's all I'm doing. Rattling on, jammering. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go. I got a couple of things I got to get done, and some wood in, and water my horse, give her some feed, that type of thing. So peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good rest of your weekend. Later, everybody.